Hello, everybody. I am Luna. This is Luna and Friends, where we discuss spirituality, tarot, all things body, mind, and spirit alignment. And we have a guest star every week where we get to learn more about our friends and get more into their life and just help each other out with guidance. So today I have my new friend, Michelle, joining us.
Hello. So I'm Michelle. I'm a coach. So I help people work through various issues from the more like mindset perspective, just flipping the script on a lot of old beliefs that get really ingrained. I'm also a tarot reader, and so I'll bring in some spirituality to the coaching sometimes. And yeah, I'm mostly on TikTok. I'm also on Instagram. My handle is MICHISTAKH on both. And I also do Reiki. Forgot about that one. Clearly, you can tell which one is the least loved child of the three skills. So, yeah. And I'm very excited for this interview, actually.
I'm excited for you to be here. The way how we became friends was me scrolling through TikTok and I was like, oh, I like her. And then like your hair reminded me because like used to do like fun colors too until I overdid it and got some damage, really bad damage. And I'm like, oh, I like her. And then I'm like, oh, I like what she's saying. And I'm like, you know what? I really like her. Like, I really just connected with you, I feel. And just like watching your story and what you, I guess I would say, preach about and talk about your side of the journey. And I'm just like, yeah, I can definitely relate to this because we're all in this together. And some of us have had other experiences than others, but basically it's like we're all going through life and we all are able to pick things from people and utilize that for what you've overcame and share it with your story with other people and help them, and I can share my story and help other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's really crazy about it is that, like, most of the ways that I've overcome things that I've overcome is by hearing how other people did it and just looking and being like, well, you did this and that worked, but that person did that and that didn't work. So I'm going to go with these odds over here. I like that a little bit better. And that's really just been most of it, just trial and error. And like, if it doesn't work, then that's it. We're done. On to the next thing, trying the next thing.
Yeah, definitely. And then even with the people, because like us as coaches and mentors, and we help other people, but eventually when you get to a certain point, it's okay to exit from like their care because you're moving on to something else. And when you go through a new experience or you learn something, then that's when someone new will come in and someone who also is going through that experience that you're going through now, because everything's always changing. Your mind has like this ideology and it's like, okay, this is it, and then you're getting the answers for that, and then you find those answers and then now it's something else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually really interesting that you say that. So I was working with my sister as a coach. She was my coach for all of like winter and like from fall into spring. And it just got to a point where I was like, I feel like it's not aligned anymore. And then also it's just weird to have your sister be your coach, But like as helpful as it was, and like as much as I grew from that, I was like, yeah, it's time, which is weird because I was like, but it's my sister. So yeah, absolutely. Definitely. The alignment shifts quite a bit.
Yeah. So one of the things that from watching your channel, you had openly spoke about spiritual psychosis. So I was wondering, did you ever experience any scenarios where you've entered into a state of spiritual psychosis?
So actually, no. I actually refused to work on the upper chakras for a very long time because of that, because I was so scared of it. Because I've had a whole other slew of mental health issues. And so I'm just like, I don't need another one to add to the list. And I got into spirituality and faith and belief and all of this stuff because I was depressed and I was anxious. And I was like, okay, well, if this is in my mind, I got to be able to fix it through my mind somehow, right? I did not expect to be a coach on spirituality. I did not expect to end up like doing work in the astral. I did not expect to be on the twin flame journey. I kind of got dragged kicking and screaming. And so like I wanted to be a corporate America girly, like business, corporate, all of that. That was the vision. And then it was literally just like I wanted to fix my depression, and now here we are. So basically just everything that I've done in regard to spirituality has been for the purpose of practical use. And I don't really go past that until I'm being pulled and it's kind of inevitable. So I don't try and like go and open spiritual gifts before like the last possible second, basically.
That's great. I'm really glad that you did not have to experience that. I actually I was just highly triggered, and I kept going. It was weird. I was just going through this really weird phase. I just kept on regressing, and I kept on going back to things with my early childhood, like my living situation. And it was just a very weird time. And like I said, I kept dyeing my hair, and I don't know if it was because I was getting all of these these epiphanies, downloads, whatever you want to call them, and realizations. And then with me, on the other hand, not searching for answers, but I would look into answers and like really trying to heal myself. But I ended up being exposed to so much to where it was like literally an overload. And in between like witchery, because I was like doing a little bit of spell work, but I was like going into it and I was like, okay, I got this magic. Like, let me see what I can do. So I don't know if it's because of that, but I ended up feeling like someone was using black magic against me, which I ended up getting a reading, and someone was, and it was causing my hair to fall out. And then it was like whatever magic was on me, it was literally messing with my mind, where I didn't know what reality was. I was up for days. I couldn't sleep. I ended up like losing 100 pounds from the start of my journey. And it's been like 2 years, and it still went so fast. Like I went through so, like, even my business, I have a whole business that I started. Everything started at the same time. And I started working with like the community. I'm doing tarot, I'm doing cleansings, I'm making my candles, I'm going out into the public, I'm working on myself, I'm starting to do yoga. I don't know if it was just like a major overload, but I was like so close to just like, I have to go somewhere. But I was afraid to go to a a facility, because with the 3D and the 5D, like what I was learning, and I'm like, I know this is real. I can't deny that the spiritual world and all of this is fake. But I had this sense that if I would go, that either I wouldn't be able to talk about that being the reason why I'm there, because then they would try to, like, I guess, cure that part of me. So I'm like, this is something that I definitely had to push through. And I did. I almost lost my mind. I literally thought that I was gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, that's intense. Yeah, there's definitely the overload, but then also, right, like you had somebody else doing that work on you. I can't even imagine that. That's also like part of why I think I know it's kind of taboo to mix spirituality and mental health together. But I think that's kind of why like I haven't really shied away from that as much. Like I will talk about it when I feel called to, because it's very hard to distinguish the two, right? Like, is it a Kundalini awakening or is a hypomanic episode? Like that was a thing that I hadn't even considered until up about a month ago, right? When people were describing what a Kundalini awakening was. And so it's like there's and like have a very limited perspective because they're only allowed to operate from that framework, right? Like it's not legal for them to give advice from any other perspective, even if they do, know and understand, like, and like have similar beliefs, like similar understandings. Um, but yeah, because like all of this stuff is so tied in. Like we have the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, and the spiritual body, and it's all just one layer on top of layer. Like I don't know if you remember those projectors that they would have in school with like the plastic sheets, and they would put the plastic yeah, it's like they would have, and like you draw on them in marker or whatever. So it's like layering four of those sheets on the projector, and then you see the image, and like that's a person, right? But it's like these four parts that aren't at all separate. And so when you draw on any one of the sheets, it shows up on all levels. And it's like just taking that singular approach, I feel like does everybody a disservice.
Definitely. So in my early years of my career, I worked with children, and then I began to study psychology and human development, human behavior, personality. And I have like 5 classes left for my degree for applied behavioral analysis. Yeah, and I was really into it, but then it was like I was learning all of this, and it was so interesting to me, but I'm like, there's so much more, and I didn't know at the time, because like I said, I've just been 2 years on the spirit world, and I would have conversations with people like, I've been practicing this for 10 years, and I'm like, look, I don't know if I overload just purposely, or like I had to be at this point now. Like I don't, for whatever reason, I went through those 2 years of like chaos for me to be where I'm at now. But while I was studying, and then like even with me, because I have this background in psychology, and I'm like, oh, I'm going through, I have borderline personality disorder, and I suffer from all of these things. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing signs of autism with the way that my brain is, and how I have these things that, I do in coping mechanisms. And then I pull myself back, as we talk about in spirituality, and I come back into me, and I detach from everything. And I realize that everything that I do and that we all do is because we're mimicking the behaviors and the patterns that other people do. And the way we say words, it's the same way that our families say words, because we are drawn to that and we keep on watching that. And I have this huge theory when it comes to masculine and feminine. So we have the masculine brain, which is on the right side, because the masculine is on the right side. So the masculine brain is the left side, because it's like a mirror. Yeah. And then the feminine is on the left side, but the brain is on the right side. So the way that I see this, and especially with like learning the differences between the two, learning the differences between the brain, and also with this borderline personality theory that I have. So basically it's a split. Your brain splits because you take your mind and your thoughts, and you go either in your masculine brain, which is, I'm going to take action. This is anxiety. I'm going to be impulsive. I'm going to be doing things, whatever it is, it's going to be security, grounding, money, things like that. And then, or whatever the trigger is, you go into your feminine brain, and that is where you're dreamy. So you get more detached, and then you mostly do, you're more depressed, or you're more creative, and you're just in this brain, but you're not really taking action, right? So in order for you to stay balanced, it is all a mindset thing. And it's basically keeping your brain here and being like, okay, I'm going to stay here. Whatever dreaminess I'm going to have, the masculine is going to make it happen, because that's what it is. That's how you balance yourself with that inner union, is you think about it and you want it, and then the masculine makes it happen. So you do whatever it is that you need to do to make that happen. So it's like a brain split, and you basically just keep your brain neutral and not go into either sides of the brain.
Interesting. That's so I feel like from my experience, maybe just what I, not my experience, but like what I do kind of naturally is just like I will go all in on one end and then also all in on the other, but like I'll do it consciously, right? So like I'll have one thing come up and I'll take some time to go all in both on the left and right brains and be like, okay, I felt all the things, you know, I've come up with the plan, I have peace of mind about this, I've like overthought every possible everything, and now we can do it. Which usually that plan always goes to shit anyway, because you know, spirit is just like, you're needed over there. We're gonna need you to say or do that instead. Sorry, you had a plan, it was cute, but yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, absolutely. If you don't have that balance of both, this was actually why I got this tattoo.
Yes, I've seen
So
it in videos and I love it. And actually, to be honest, I want, because I think I've seen one of them and I was like, oh, I wonder if, you know, if her person got the other one, because that would be awesome. But then again, you got to have it with yourself first, you know?
yeah, so this I actually I got after the worst breakup of my life that was followed by a fling, which was with somebody I was seeing before that partner. So it was like one breakup, a month later, another breakup. And this was also like in the beginning of my dark night of the soul, right? Like the bad one, right? And so I was like, you know what? This is going to be like me saying I'm done with that era of my life and no more of these dudes. I'm not not dating around, like wasting my time on these games, da da da, whatever. And so I went and I got the tattoo. Also, you know, impulsive and heartbroken and whatever. So what else do you do aside from get a tattoo?
Hey, dye your hair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fun things, dye your hair, go out, do crazy things, get a tattoo.
Yeah, yeah. It was the F it we ball era, just that whole year.
So before I began my journey, and I guess it was, what is it, like the first contact or whatever they call it, after that first kind of separation, and this was before I progressed into the spirituality, because there was a big space where I actually went back to a karmic, and I don't know, that was a crazy time too. But I got tattoos here too. So I got my son, and then I got my daughter's birthday. And going into the spiritual world after, and I realized I have him in like a teal color, and it's on my right side, and then hers purple on my left side. And I was actually gonna have it the other way around, because I have this tattoo with the same colors. And I was like, oh, I think the purple one will be better on this side. And I'm like, oh, you know, and then the person who did my tattoo, he's actually my cousin. He was like, no, you can do it like that. I like it like that better. And I was like, all right, cool. And then going into it, I'm like, this is the masculine side and this is the feminine side. And I'm like, oh, okay. That works out cool.
Yeah, it's insane how intuitive we can be about certain things like that, where it's like I don't know why. I just can't imagine it on my left leg, but I know it goes on my right leg. But like it just feels wrong to have it on my left leg. Like I don't know why. And it's just so I love that. I love that. How it's like so just ingrained and it like sits there almost.
Yeah. I think that it's like so many things just happen for a reason, and we don't even realize that it's happening until like after you're already there, or when you're sitting in that moment and you're like, oh, that just explains everything. Now I get it.
Yep. Yeah. Have you ever had that thing of like looking back on your childhood and you're like, oh, that was intuition? That's what that was? I thought I was just insane.
Right. I remember this instance because like I now, you know, I call myself a spiritual practitioner, because I'm all about body, mind, and spirit alignment. And like I said, I could really get into that magic if I wanted to, or if I even have to, but I don't anymore. And I remember when I was little, I was sick one day and I had a really high fever and I was just laying in bed and I just felt dead. Like I was just like, all right. And I don't get sick a lot, but it was like that day I knew the doorbell was going to ring. I knew who was at the door. I knew when the phone was going to ring. I knew who was on the phone. Like basically it was like I knew everything that was going to happen when it came to other people. And I was just laying there and I was just like, oh, this is that. And then it was just like a feeling. And I was like, I already knew what time it was. And then I'm like, oh, my sisters are going to be coming home. And I literally was laying in bed, no TV. No, this was way before I had a phone. And I'm just like at then I just like it was just weird to me, but now I always go back to that and I'm like, man, like I I was really like highly intuitive back then and I just never utilized it, or it was never acceptable maybe, or whatever the case would be.
Yeah, it's like the more and more I like grow up, get older, whatever, right? The more I look back and I realize I'm like, God damn, we are so much smarter as children than we are as adults. It's like I was like 8-year-old me had better taste in guys than I do now. Like, all of that stuff. And it's like that intuition is so much stronger. It's really just insane. And I feel like when you look back, it's a clearer picture of what your gifts are and where your strengths really lie, right? Like if, for example, like if as a kid you're just like constantly drawing whatever, like you can't stop drawing, and then like as an adult, it's like, oh, do I do coding or law? It's like, no, go into graphic design at the very least, because like that's where your strengths lie. And when you play to your strengths, you always do way better. But yeah, like it's so much more prominent in childhood. It's insane.
It's so funny about how you had said about like liking, like you have better taste in boys. I remember writing love notes. And when I was little, like I used to write love notes. Like I don't know what it was. I don't even really think that I really liked them, but I was just able to describe this type of love that, like literally would be a novel. And I would like fold them into those little football things. And I had this big bin, and unfortunately it was found and I got very humiliated for it. And one of the lovely things in my shadow is my writing, because I basically pushed that away. And I'm like, man, like I would be writing like literally at like 7, 8 years old, writing my heart out, expressing this amount of love given, that, that just the things that I would see and just describe. And I'm like, I used to love writing. Can I do that again? So that's something
Yeah,
that I'm working towards doing more.
absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah. The fact that you are working on reintegrating that is amazing. Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm realizing, and especially what we were saying about like the mental health and things like that, I really feel that these are all obstacles. Like I made a joke and I kind of like recorded it. I think it's in my drafts, and it was like I'm really starting to feel like this is all like, okay, here's all these mental health issues. Here's this house. This is your mission. Your mission is to see how great you can be, and really that's it. So
Yeah.
it's like coming out of these, like the ADHD and anxiety, and like really learning how to control all of these, and control the way that you talk to people, and enhance your communication skills, get out of your comfort zone, don't be afraid, and like really learn how to be the best version by like controlling all of these things, that the trauma experiences, and the things that are shadows, all of that, and just learning how to be great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this was a thing that has gotten me out of every single dark place that I have ever gone to in my life is just that thing of like, no, I need to see who I can become because I know there is something sitting there that I haven't tapped into yet. And like now I feel like I'm just slowly starting to like approach the door, right? Not even like I haven't even gotten into the building yet. But it's like I can't go like I'm just going to live a fake life basically and then never see who I could have been and just waste my time here. It's like it's not like we have that many go arounds in this lifetime, you know, like it's a fairly short life. And so it's like why waste that? But yeah, that like that ambition has literally like saved me. Without it I would literally not be here today. I would have just been like, bye, I'm out.
Great. That really is, because it shows that you're not settling and that you don't want to settle for like you can settle with a person, you can settle with a job, but are you going to feel fulfilled? Are you going to know that you're going to be fine with that scenario? Or do you really feel that there is so much more to you, to your life, to your love, to where you want to take yourself?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned settling because I was just having this conversation the other day with my mother. I was like, look, I can't settle anymore because like, and it's literally not even that like I don't want to whatever because like my dreams or whatever are like borderline delusions of grandeur at this point. Like they always have been. Like they're that big, right? But I'm like literally every single time I have tried to settle, I have gotten punished brutally for it by the forces that be, essentially, you know? And it's, oh, what did we? Okay, I'm gonna finish this really quickly.
Yeah.
But so I just wanted to say, so it's like that Bible story of like Jonah and the fish, where he's like, no, I don't want to go. I'm not made for that. Like, no, I want to live a calm life over here where nobody knows my name and whatever. And it's like you get put in the fish every time, every single time. Like you can't. You want to settle for the quiet, calm relationship as opposed to like whatever you're actually meant to have. You're gonna get in that fish's stomach, and that fish is gonna bring you to the relationship. Like you don't really have any options.
Yeah, or even if you do settle, like what's gonna happen? Your heart's always gonna be somewhere else, and you're always gonna not. You're just not gonna feel content. Like you'll probably even in a relationship. Like I'm sorry, if you settle, you're gonna be cheating, you're gonna be wandering, you're gonna be unhappy, y'all gonna be fighting all the time. It is what it is.
Yeah, the resentment, all of it. Yeah, 100%. Oh boy.
So I was shuffling and like the card got stuck to my hand and I kind of like threw it and it like so we get up manifestations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And there's gonna be some action coming. Some fast action. So it's the Knight of Swords. So just even though like things are gonna be coming, take your time because you got the moon under it. So it's gonna be like action, but like we were saying, like use both of your brains. So the feminine and the masculine. So kind of be that dreamy and know what it is that you want and then go after it and take that action and make sure that it's not impulsive action. And it's time to die some more.
What? More? Oh my god.
I'm so over dying. I'm not. I am, but I'm not because I'm just like again. And then with me, one of the synchronicities that I see on the license plate it is DK. And whenever I see DK, I'm like Dark Knight. And this has been going on for like what 2 years now, or like a year and a half. So anytime that I see DK on a license plate, and I'll even pretend like I didn't see it, or I would be like, oh no, it's not gonna happen. No, no, no. And then it does, and something triggers me, and then I go into like a dark night, and it's like, okay, something I gotta figure out. So yeah, something's gonna have to be that you're gonna have to figure out. And it's gonna it's like a realization about yourself and then you'll figure it out, and then it you know, you kiss it away, and then you grow from that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun at this point.
Yeah. So I definitely feel that we are going to need to have another episode with you because our time is running out and I love our conversation. Girl, oh my goodness. Okay, so we got opal. So I use crystal healing and I tie this in with the chakra system. So we have opal, and this is for happiness, faithfulness, and loyalty. So opal is like a pearl. It's a pearl color. So for me, this is purity. This is divinity. Getting that closeness with the higher entity, God, spirit, universe, whatever it is that you go by. And then you got sardonyx, and this is for happiness and stability to marriage and partnerships. So this is like a brown color. So to me, it's both like the root and sacral in that area. So it's really getting those lower chakras aligned with the masculine. And then antigerite, this is for flow, intuition, and bloom. And like you said previously before about going into the third eye, because it's like a cycle. So we're going from, now we're starting to speak up, and so now we're going into those indigo colors and moving on up.
Yeah, fun. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and then there's blues on the bottom. So it's kyanite and blue howlite. Sight, tranquility, meditation, awareness, confidence, and calmness. So that's the here, speaking that good old truth. So, all right, unfortunately, we have to end this awesome conversation, but feel free to reach out to Michelle if you would like to have any of her services, follow her on her social medias. And also next week, we have an awesome guest from the Trailblazers, Diana. And I'm not sure if you know her, but she's awesome, and she's definitely helped me. I met her through this group on Facebook, and she's helped me a lot with processing what I was going through. So it's going to be an awesome conversation with her as well. But I would love to have you back on as a guest in the future, Michelle. And thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to remind everybody where they can follow you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You can follow me on TikTok or Instagram. MICHISTAKH is the handle for both. And again, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun. I loved it. Thank you.
Well, everybody, I hope you have a great day. If you would like to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Luna's Enlightenment, and I have a shop here in South Chicago. Feel free to come by, see us. I do spiritual healing, I do cleansings, I do tarot